You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm glad you joined me this morning. So the topic or our conversation today is going to be on interrupting ourselves. I'll be right back.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518. Or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
You know, we always have this complaint, and it happens every single day, when we always say, gosh, I'm getting so interrupted. In my daily work, I'm getting interrupted. People are interrupting me. Unfortunately, the real story is that we're interrupting ourselves. I read a very good article this week about self-interruption. And the title of it was, You Could Be Your Own Biggest Interruptions. And it's the truth. I do it myself. I interrupt my own progress throughout the day. And when I do that, then I get mad at myself because I haven't gotten the stuff done that I interrupted myself on. So the story goes like this. Self-interruption fundamentally involves abandoning a task that we're working on prior to completion. And we do it by changing our focus to a different task. Its primary attribute is that the interruption is driven by our own multitasking rather than being prompted by an external event or a person. And that's the problem. We do it to ourselves. Some of the most common self-interruption behaviors include stopping what you are doing or working on to capture an idea, thought, or to do. Doing something you just realized you forgot. Following a random stream of links when researching on the net. Or watching a video on YouTube or eating something. I am so guilty of that. A lot of times I'm working from my office at home, and I tell you it's so easy to get up. Working on a task that's really important. But I just feel, let's get up and go to the refrigerator. I tell you, that's the worst part of working from a home office is that you have self-interruptions. It takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds for people to return to the original task after being interrupted. And 40% of the time, workers don't return to their original task at all, but instead wander off in a new direction. How many of us are guilty of that? So the question is, how can we stop doing it? And so the article goes on and it says, one of the best ways to stop interrupting yourself is to block out a specific period of time to work on a particular project. Blocks of between 15 to 30 minutes work well since they are long enough to get something done, but short enough to put your mind at ease when other items start to nag at it. And then use a timer along with putting aside dedicated calendar time. One of the many timer apps available will help you stick to one thing at a time. There's one app out that's called, and I don't know if I'm doing this, saying this right, but it's called Pomodoro app and technique, which gives you short bursts of time to work with alternating breaks and then tracks your overall progress on both a specific project and your focus tolerance. Keep a pad of paper and pen handy. I always keep a journal. I have a journal book sitting beside me at all times where I write in notes. In the event that a random thought, forgotten to do, or Nobel Prize winning idea does pop into your head, don't panic. Just put it down. Jot it down. Put it in your journal. I tell you, I am a journal guy. I got into it at the beginning of last year, and I have found that keeping a journal works because I can refer back to it. When I accomplish things, I mark it off and say accomplished. Put a gold star there. Well, not gold, it's just a pen, but it works, okay? But you have to do it in writing. So why paper? Why do you put it on paper? By avoiding your phone or computer, you steer clear of the electronic interruptions that can pop up. And we all know what those are. Texting, messaging from Facebook, everything pops up like that. So we have to put it down on paper. I keep saying this. You have to put your budget down on paper. You have to put your goals and objectives for the year and month and day down on paper. It has to be on paper because otherwise you are interrupted by your chief interrupter, and that's your technology. And then the other item is do things to build up your attention span. If you find that your ability to focus has diminished in direct proportion to your use of social media and the internet, create a counterbalance by reading a physical book or going off social media for a week to build up your tolerance for focus. I did a podcast on this a few days ago, maybe a week ago, about how we need to get off our cell phones and take a break from it. When was the last time that you actually sat down with your friend or your family member and literally talk face to face, eyeball to eyeball? Because we're so involved in our technology. People cannot live without their cell phones. If you go into a restaurant, everybody is on their cell phones. Everybody is texting. Everybody's reading something. Everybody is doing something on their technology except for doing something meaningful like talking to your best friend or talking to your child. And then the other thing, which I've begun to do in my own journaling, is plan your hardest tasks for later in the day. I work much better later in the day. In fact, sometimes I work better really late at night sitting at my desk because there's no interruptions. Everybody's asleep. No one's texting me. No one's messaging me. I can literally get my work done. One study by Victor Gonzalez from the Instituto Tecnologico, say I'm really bad at interpreting words from other countries. Anyway, he did an analysis of 889 hours of observed task switching behavior from individuals across 3 high technology information work organizations and found that time of day was significantly associated with interruption rates. Informants or people in the study interrupted themselves more often the earlier it was in the day and less often as the day progressed. So if you do find yourself slipping and self-interrupting, the goal is to get back on task as quickly as possible. Sooner than the usual 23 minutes, as research has shown that it takes to get back on track. Once you have recognized you're off the focus train, get yourself back on track. ASAP. Chances are you will make it to your destination much sooner. You can get the work done much sooner rather than later. So I think Karen Tiber Leland of Inc. magazine, who produced this paper, It was very informative because, unfortunately, it touched every part of my life because we are self-interrupting people. We have too much at our fingertips on the computer that are continually interrupting. I have watched my staff sometimes. Their cell phones are directly right beside them. As soon as a message comes in, they have to grab it real fast. And they've interrupted the work schedule. And it takes them longer to get things done than it should. That's why I have developed a process where I take my cell phone and if I'm working at my desk, I put it in the drawer of my desk, I mute it so I do not hear it at all. Hard to do? Oh my gosh, yes. It's really hard to do. It's very difficult to change your pattern, but you have to work on it because we are constantly self-interrupting ourselves. If you have any questions on this, just send me a text at 818-252-5682, 818-252-5682, and I'll answer it. But send it to me when you're not working. Let's not self-interrupt. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you very, very soon.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.